Oh, there it is.
I can do that. All right, I'll call the meeting to order, and if anybody, since we have some new members, I'll ask everybody to go around and introduce themselves.
Okay, to start. Jeff Smith, and I'm the city council representative.
Deb Geyer, I'm from the Kellyanne.
Bobby Anderberg with My Place Mitchell.
I'm Sam from Colleteam.
I'm Andy for Thunderbird Lodge.
Tim Smith, retired, used to run the radio stations in town for many years.
Okay.
Jordan Hanson, Mayor Mitchell.
And I probably should have introduced myself. I'm Jason Bradley, Culver's and Bradley's next door.
Aaron Heeb, City of Mitchell.
All right, the first thing is approval of the minutes from last meeting.
I move approval.
Okay, got him first, any second?
Sure, I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, pass. Financial reports. Aaron?
Okay, so the first financial report included in your packet is the Sports and Events Authority financial report. This was year-to-date March 5th, but this was from our March 11th Sports and Events Authority meeting. Since some of the financials have updated, I'll share a lot of those updates in the next financial report. A couple numbers just to highlight there on the first Sports and Events Authority page. Again, revenue that the bid for board designated the Sports and Events Authority was $150,000 for 2025. And then if everyone wants to just flip to page 13. The Sports and Events Authority has awarded funding to, it is currently now 22 events that have accounted for 44 event days. 4 of those 22 events have been new events for Mitchell, South Dakota. So that's all I'm going to share as far as the Sports and Events Authority financials. Again, some of the updates will be included here with this financial report, which is the Business Improvement District number 4, the Revenue and Expense Report. And we will actually go to page 2 of that report. For 2025, the current year-to-date actual occupancy tax collections for 2025 is $47,713.50. That equates to 23,857 room nights. Then I did handwrite in our total collections for 2024. That was $318,547.50 of that $2 collection, which accounted for 159,274 room nights for 2024. Just a couple notes that I didn't write down on here, but I just would like to share. So we received collections from 12 of our lodging establishments. We do not collect from the Budget Inn, the Coach Light, or the Siesta. They're not included in the bid for district. The Corn Palace Inn, they were closed January through April of 2024. We received 4 months of collections from the Corn Palace Inn, and then from September on of last year, they only did long-term stays, not the overnights that require the $2 collection. And as well, in June of 24, we had the My Place Hotel. They were opened and started collections in June of 2024. So the total $2 room night collection comes from 826 rooms that we have in Mitchell. or within the bid 4 district. And then if we want to go to the third page of the financials, here's where those updates will come. So if we look under column 1 there, the current budget, so the expenses for the bid 4. This year we have the $30,000, so this will be year 2 of 3 for the Dakota Riptide for their debt service there that we agreed to fund. $150,000, as I said earlier, was designated to the Sports and Events Authority. If we go to column 4 here, the current year-to-date actual, the $4,995, that is the Play Easy platform subscription for 1 year. The Sports and Events Authority expenses, that number has updated from our March meeting. So we awarded 2 events in our March Sports and Events Authority meeting. So that amount is now $57,750 that the Sports and Events Authority has awarded to those 22 events. If you add the $4,995 for the Play Easy subscription, that is a current year-to-date actual of $62,745 in expenses. And then I always highlight here towards the bottom, the other financing sources, the $103,277, again, that's earmarked for the SEA. That was just the amount left in the transition to the bid 4. So if there's any questions, comments, I'll do my best to answer them.
The Dakota Riptide for the pool, we gave those money or something. They did good job. They bring some business in January. All the hotels were full on that weekend, so it's worth it to give it to them. So we are happy whatever the decision Bradley take that time, so.
Okay, yeah, just a further comment, Dakota Riptide, yep, they hosted a swim meet in December, they hosted one in January, and then they hosted the 12U state swim meet that third weekend of February.
Nope, that's cool.
When you got the article in the paper that we have too many events and not enough hotels, isn't that a good thing?
Yeah, I think that was a good situation for Mitchell. I mean, again, yes, I think
It's good for
put it,
everybody.
maybe mix it up, but yes, to have one weekend where we're completely full, I think that was a good thing for Mitchell.
I thought it was a positive article. I'm glad they brought out the point that we've tried to focus in on the shoulder season, when we're trying to get events into town, and now we just need to make sure we mix and match and don't over maybe schedule and spread it out a little bit. And you had some good comments in there on how we can actually do that.
Thank you.
I'm glad we had that situation, and just brings delight, and hopefully we can bring more to town and just kind of spread it out during the winter months.
Yeah, Jeff, the only negative there was, and it was unavoidable, that Wesleyan lost on his indoor soccer 10, 11 teams that could not, find rooms. But, as you said, I mean, it's a good problem to have. And the other thing is, we didn't know we were going to have that big swim meet until right toward the end of the year when Rapid City couldn't hold it, and then we picked it up. So I think if he could have encouraged his soccer teams to get rooms earlier, they might have been, I don't know, they might have been all right too, but, yeah.
I know we are getting emails, but maybe if we get ahead, that's something going on, then we hold the rooms for the teams and everybody, as a hotelier.
Yeah, so I guess the communication regarding, room blocks over the last couple of years has been to have the organization, reach out to the respective hotel. That way the specifics can get
Yep.
handled rather than kind of going through a third party.
Third parties, yep.
And I guess I will share, so Jason Weedy shared with me yesterday as well. It looks like Mitchell will be host to the class, or state B or 13 and older swim meet next year as well,
Oh, that's good.
2026. And looking at those dates, it doesn't look like it would overlap with our futsal. One of them was hosted early February this year, and then I think it was 13 and older was hosted the last weekend of February.
Perfect.
All right, any further discussion on the financials and questions?
So the current balance in the bid account is, again? I'm looking at all these papers.
And we got two different, we have
Yeah,
two
two
different
different
things.
things,
Obviously,
I
it's
know.
cash, and then it's the budget minus expenses.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think that's what you're asking. I think
Yes.
that's the, yeah.
This is a good question.
Give me like 2 minutes and I'll do it for you.
Okay.
My computer just shut down, so.
As she's looking that up, you pointed out that we had 103,000 left in there from the prior year that we rolled, that basically gets rolled into this committee and the bid.
Yeah, so it was, to my understanding, earmarked SEA, that was
Yeah.
what transitioned from.
Right. The city
into-
council reappointed it to the bid and kept every dollar that was raised in that fund. Yeah. If that helps a little bit.
Right, yeah, yeah. No, I remember that, yeah.
That's a good question.
Oh, 9?
We, our city year end is June 30th, is that,
December 31st.
or, I mean, it's December,
Yeah.
right? And so this is a calendar year also, I'm assuming. that.
Well, I'm just, if you just want to know the cash balance in that account, the current balance is 257, 214.50.
Because we brought the budgeted amount in
Yep.
immediately, and then, so it's got the availability to,
Yeah.
and that's adding the current year plus prior years.
This is, but that's
Yeah.
cash. Okay, good.
All right, any further questions or comments? I would entertain a motion for approving the financials.
So move?
Thank you, Tim.
Second.
Thank you,
Yes.
Jordan. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right. All right, citizens input, if you need to address the board on an item that was not on the agenda excluding personal items, please come forward to the podium and state your name and your concern. Presentations are limited to 3 minutes. Items will be considered, but no action will be taken. All right, no current citizens input, update and discussion about the bid for survey results. And Jerry's gonna do this, but he can't be here, so Aaron's gonna take that on for us.
Yep, so Jerry is unavailable today, but he did dedicate some of his time. He was able to obviously share the survey with the hotels within the district, and then took his time as well to diligently follow up and get these results for the bid for board. I guess basically what I'll do is just read the question, share the results. If there's feedback, comments, or a need for discussion, we can have it. If not, potentially, I can just add this as an agenda item for our next meeting as well. So questionnaire number 1, how should the revenue, well, I guess let me back up here. So questionnaire results were submitted from the Americ Inn, Comfort Inn, Days Inn, Hampton Inn, Kelly Inn, My Place, Super 8, Holiday Inn, Motel 6, and Thunderbird. Question 1 was, how should the revenue collected be used to attract events or conferences to Mitchell? The establishments could circle more than one, so there was a tie for direct marketing and promotion to attract people to Mitchell, and new capital projects that would help build facilities to attract people to Mitchell. A few votes for capital improvements to the existing facilities, and then one circle for repair and maintenance of those existing facilities. Question 2. So this is based on how they answered question 1. So if they circled letter A, which was the direct marketing and promotion to attract people to Mitchell, total revenue to direct the marketing and promotion, majority was for 60% of that. A couple suggestions at 20% and 80% of that total revenue should go towards direct marketing and promotion. If the establishment circled either B or C, which was new capital projects to help build facilities or capital improvements to those existing facilities, what approximate percentage of total revenue should go to those capital projects? Two majorities, majority vote went 40%, 3 votes to 20%, and then we had one circle for 60% and one for all of it. And then question 4, if the answer was D or the suggestion was D, repair and maintenance of existing facilities, what percentage of total revenue should go towards that repair and maintenance of our existing facilities? 2 of them suggested 20% and 1 suggested 60%. This is a good question here, and Jeff highlighted it a little bit ago, but should the funds be directed towards conferences or events during a certain time of the year? They were able to circle 1 or more. Majority was that January through March timeframe. 4 suggested all year around, and then 1 was for that April-June timeframe. So again, that majority was for what we consider that shoulder season, that January through May and June. In today's competitive environment, many events or conferences require direct payments to help entice the organization to choose Mitchell as their host location. Do you support making this type of direct payment to groups or organizations to come to Mitchell? Majority was 9 said yes, and then there was 1 suggested no. And number 7, once an organization or group recognizes a source of funds, they tend to repeat their request year after year. Should priority be given to new or existing organizations? There was a majority, 8 of them suggested a combination of both, with limited number of repetitive years for the organization as determined by the board. And then there was circle for existing organizations should be giving priority, and 1 circle for a combination of both with no limitation on repetitive years.
So if I was reading that, or you were reading that right, or I'm understanding it correctly, the hotel owners would like to see new buildings being built? Does that sound accurate?
Yes.
Yes.
That's we, all the, no, not all, I put that. Build something not on the main location. If you build something inside, people or sports or something complex, that brings more games on the weekends in winter or something. So something like that, if we have money, goes towards that.
And it looks like 60% was kind of the number they were hoping for, or no, 40 to 20% should go to that.
And that building should not be like more fancy or something.
Just something to get more events.
Yeah,
That makes sense, right.
And there is winter time, you can come the events here. A lot of people come here, you can occupancy more.
during those slow months.
Slow months, yeah. Summertime is okay, but you know, winter time,
Yeah.
there is the occupancy is very down. So you know, somebody too much game the town, like the January to March. So you know, more people come and occupancy and everything is good.
That makes sense.
Especially I give the example of Kearney, Nebraska. The guy named Paul Eunice, it's a small town. He's just building the ton of hotels, but recently he's building like the biggest complex for the sport. It's 30,000 people in the town or something, but he's growing that town really good. And that's the main thing, is he's bringing more and more event, and that helps the whole town. So the small town competing Lincoln and Omaha and everybody right now in the hotel industry and restaurants and everything.
You said Kearney, Nebraska? So it's like a big indoor, multi-purpose sports
Yes,
facility?
yeah.
Yeah.
He
Just
has-
just
yeah.
basic? Just basic?
It's a basic, yeah.
Okay.
Basics, yeah. And that does not need the prime location or something, so we don't have to spend much money for the location or something. If possible, this is just the suggestion for the future. So,
Maybe the city council should take a look at something like that.
I got a question, I guess, a little bit. We've talked about this before on the direct marketing and promotion. I'm on the Sports Authority Committee. Dave Helleloyd out there is also on the Sports Authority Committee. This is what we do. If somebody is coming to, swim meet coming to town.
Yeah, that's- yeah.
They need assistance, they come to us, and that's where that money that you see that this board gave the Sports Authority, we use that to bring things in town. Good example is this weekend, the South Dakota Special Olympics.
Yep, that's-
Come to
yep.
Mitchell. We bid against Pierre, Rapid City, other communities, and of course, we've got to put money up front, or
yeah, we see that, like
you know,
this weekend is
yeah,
busy.
They take it away.
That's good, yeah.
So I'm considering that as direct marketing, basically. I'd like to know what other kind of promotion, we've talked here before about getting either the CVB or Chamber or somebody to come in and talk about what they're doing as far as promotion. That if you're talking about advertising type promotion to bring people to town, what they're doing, if you could latch on to their, so you don't duplicate, I guess, what you're doing. Have they ever said anything about that again, Aaron, about coming in to,
So Johanna stopped, or came to, was it the last meeting?
Yeah.
You know, it sounded like, I guess the way I took it was a lot of their marketing is the regional and, you know, Minneapolis, Chicago, Lincoln, Nebraska, Omaha. It's not more or less local marketing.
right?
Obviously, when we have discussions with the Sports and Events Authority organizations, the ones that are awarded funding, we suggest or recommend the use of the funds, some percentage, to be used to market their event, to market Mitchell, to promote tourism, to bring more people to whatever that respective event might be.
Yeah.
So I guess.
I guess that's what I'm just interested in, what other type of promotion this group feels they would want to do other than the direct marketing, you know, like the Sports Authority does. And by the way, Sports Authority, when events come in, we do give priority January through April.
Yeah.
As they say, it's winter time, they're more likely to get money from us, you know, so.
Yeah, you guys doing really good than it used to be since like 21, 22.
Okay, yeah,
We see a lot of events coming in the weekends, so it's going really good too. So.
Good.
I guess repeat requests, so that was question 7. We have had conversation, discussion about that in the Sports and Events Authority committee meetings. Being the size of community that we are, we get, again, I don't have the exact number of the events funded that are repeat. You know, right around between 34 to 36 are the number of events that are awarded SEA funding on average here the last 4 or 5 years. My personal opinion with that would be, you know, again, these events have been going on for 4 years, up to 42-ish. Any support that they can receive from the city of Mitchell, the Sports and Events Authority, to continue that success. You know, there's a lot of behind-the-scenes things that they do, but very little, you know, the basic support that we can give them, I feel, is still necessary. So I don't know if a priority or a, you know, timeline is maybe necessary when it's a repeat event.
I feel like that gives the autonomy of letting the SEA board or the bid board decide that, the way that was written. Do you think so? You want to give a timeline of how long you'll fund these things, you're saying? That seems risky.
I think it's
I guess
very hard to do.
I'm
Yeah.
saying there shouldn't be that timeline.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Each year's event is unique in itself, requires different things from on a year-to-year basis, and each one submits the grant application. They take time out of their day, you know, to come share that grant application to the committee, take questions from the committee. So I think each year is its own year in itself for that repeat event.
We don't, I think the attitude, Dave, correct me, but the attitude of Sports Authority is, we don't want to just be considered as part of their budget every year. Oh, we'll just go there and they'll just give it to us. But if they're showing that they're maybe increasing in size, the indoor soccer as an example, you know, if they go from bringing in 45 teams one year, it's the same event next year, but now they're up to 55 or 60 teams. Just because you're funding every year is not a bad thing if they're growing and, you know, accomplishing the purpose. You look at it, two different, totally different things. Let's take the Special Olympics. Okay, if they come to Mitchell every year, it'd be fantastic. But we'd have to fund it every year. So you don't want to just say, oh, we can do it for 3 years and then you're done. And then there's smaller things like, let's say, women's softball tournament in June that will bring in 30, 40 teams of 15 people apiece for a weekend. If we don't fund them, there's no incentive for them to do it. The local organization doesn't make any money. The state says you can't charge tickets to get in. The only money they make is selling concessions, which is a lot of work to maybe make a couple $100 for a weekend. So if we don't fund them, they say it's not worth our time to bring in 35 teams to town. So again, there's a year after year after year, if you just say, oh, sorry, you're done 3 years and you're done, they won't bring them back. So you got to kind of look at every individual
We should keep going.
event, I think.
And the Sports and Events Authority, the committee has taken some steps to gather more information from the event. There's been, you know, couple soccer events, softball, where they've tabled it closer to the event to where they can get a more accurate count of teams, rather than the event submitting the application in February for a July event, and they're estimating more or less how many teams they're gonna get. The Sports and Events Authority tables that till, you know, a May or June meeting to get a better feel, a more accurate count of how many teams will be staying, where they're from, and then that gives a little better understanding of the event. Again, each year is different, as Tim said, as far as the consideration, but the events are taking the time to complete the application, and they are graciously coming to present their information and take questions from the committee.
You should talk about your formula here. It takes into account if it's a new event or an old event.
Yep, I can't take all the credit. So Jeff reached out to me with kind of the idea of this, we call it a funding matrix. So basically this takes into consideration how many hotel rooms the event will bring. We have the time of year that the event is being hosted in, And then there's just some simple calculation. It just helps to create a little discussion about the event, the impact that it'll have. So I guess this would be, we have high priority months would be our November through March. Those are where we're looking to bring people to town, fill the hotel rooms. Our medium priority would be the April, May months. A lower priority would be June, and then that July through, once we hit hunting season in October, those would be your months where occupancy percentages are higher. I'll leave kind of the logistics out of it, but basically they answer a question on the grant application, how many hotel rooms they estimate, room nights, they'll be able to provide Mitchell, South Dakota. Another point to this is them submitting evaluation forms, post-event evaluation forms. Then we're able to take that information on a past event, compare it to what they suggest or say that is going to happen this year. And then basically it's just a simple calculation, and then it's just more or less a starting point for the committee to have a discussion based on how many room nights the event estimates are going to come to Mitchell for this event. And the percentage of this calculation is higher for those higher priority months.
You came up with this, Jeff?
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Well, Aaron and I, we worked on it together. It took months and months and months to put this thing together before we felt comfortable to take it to the
Looks good.
SEA committee. But again, it just waits, new.
It's
new
a
events,
guide,
and
it's a good
at
guide.
the time of the year, it just
Yeah.
waits a little bit more on,
Yep.
and trying to entice them to come to town during those months, so,
No, but it's perfect. It,
no.
no, it's, according to me, the way the high priority we need on November to March, because we don't have that much occupancy that time. That's my understanding, what I'm understanding right now.
Yeah.
So the way you project, looks good to me.
Yeah.
Because low priority June up to October, June 1st to October 31st, like, we are doing really good in the hotels. So it's good projection.
And I guess those priority months, wasn't guessed upon. We basically we just reviewed the actual numbers from our financials as far as total collections for room nights, and we took slightly an average, and just, you look at the numbers, it's pretty clear what months we need to bring people to town. And then that's how we were able to determine our priority months.
Maybe that November and December last year went high just because of that project, that lot of workers we had, and because of that, that's happened. It does not happen every year.
That's right.
And I guess whatever the board feels, I can definitely add this to the next meeting agenda. If Jerry's available to be here and have more discussion, or feedback was good.
I think based on some of that stuff, we're gonna have to have a conversation or discussion on how the money's gonna be allocated, based on some of the results that have been found. Maybe it's a good topic for during the budgeting process and all that.
Our next meeting would have to include budget.
Perfect timing.
Well, Aaron, I think that kind of ties in a little bit, what you see also. Like what they've said is, if it's a facility that'll bring people in between December and April, what kind of facility would that be? What do you see, that we can't bring in? Where are we short? Is it convention space? Is it that, you know what I'm saying, is where should the money be spent? We bring a lot of sports things in with all the basketball and so on in the winter, but what are we missing? You know, and you probably are no better than anybody.
Yep, and I'll share a little bit about this when we talk about, the Play Easy, the bid applications and the RFPs that these organizations are submitting throughout the country, but floor space would be one. Your regional, national events, they're looking for, cheerleading and gymnastics would be the two that pop into my mind as far as they're looking for, it's a wide range, but they're looking for anywhere between 75,000 to 150,000 unobstructed space to host their dance competition, and again, these are your regional events. So floor space would probably be the first one. There's a few groundbreakings that have actually been taking place throughout the country that are adding synthetic turf to their indoor facility or outdoor sports complexes. Synthetic turf is definitely one that's on the higher up, I would say. Hotel room nights or hotel rooms available for these higher priority, higher profile events is where, currently $895 is what Mitchell, South Dakota has. Majority of the regional events that are within Play Easy that we're seeing are looking over the 1,000 room nights needed to host their event successfully.
But isn't that also a combination of convention space with breakout rooms and all, for those bigger events
Yep, so our
too?
bigger, even our state conventions, trade show space, and then having additional space for those breakout rooms. We just don't have the space in one facility to do your trade show, your expo, of what some of our state conventions, Cattlemen's, potentially even the municipal league, those 400, 500, 600 attendee conferences, they want trade show expo space, they want numerous breakout rooms, and then to go along, additional space for, whatever else they want to set up for the conference. So I wouldn't say we're getting what we're able to get. I mean, to an extent we are. I really, so far, am a believer in this Play Easy subscription. And I'll get to a little bit about the leads and stuff here after a bit, but being able just to see the different types of events that go on in other communities, just not in South Dakota specific, and then being able to compare and kind of put in the back of your mind what these facilities have, what they're asking, these events are asking for them to consider your city a host destination. But those three would be the bulk of when I get to our leads here in Play Easy, why they're passed on. Hotel room nights available, facility space, and then there is some overlap just with the date they would like to host their event doesn't potentially coordinate with availability in our community. I can definitely jump right into Play Easy, unless we want to have more discussion on any specific questions.
I'd say jump in and maybe we combine some.
Yep. Okay, so each time, each meeting we have, there'll be less and less as far as the backside of this platform that'll be shared, but just want to highlight, review with the board. Again, this is the homepage per se of the subscribers, of the destinations, of the organizations. It's kind of like, I've said this before, a Facebook feed. So basically, this is the feed of posts that organizations looking for event hosts or destinations can post about what's going on in their community. So Monday this week, I did post about the Special Olympics coming to Mitchell. So the event organizers and other destinations subscribe to this platform are able to see the events coming to our community, as well as what other facilities, are hosting these events. So within this platform, 717 event organizers from around the country that are able to submit RFPs for events that they want to host in different destinations. There's 319 destinations, so Mitchell Sports and Events Authority being one of them. Sioux Falls also utilizes this, as well as Rapid City. So these 319 have the behind the scenes or the access to these different RFPs and event organizers to see if an event would be able to be hosted successfully in their community. Within this platform, there's currently 246 active requests for proposals from those 717 event organizers. I'll jump to our Mitchell Sports and Events Authority destination page. So this is what the interested party would be directed towards. If they hear reference to, the Mitchell Sports Authority, they search that. There's a feature within PlayEasy called Search Engine Organization. So I searched for Mitchell Sports Authority. Our destination page pops up number 3 on their search results. The more specific your search would be, that is the higher up that information from our destination page would pop up in their search results. So they come into here, they're able to view our facilities for events. They're able to view our 12 hotels, which are those included in the bid for district. They're able to view what we have to do, where to shop, entertainment, transport services throughout Mitchell. They're able to view our upcoming events, which are Sports and Events Authority specific for the time being. On the back end, these are where our facilities are edited and updated. These are where the event microsites are created. These are where we can edit and add hotels, same with businesses. And then just a few numbers that I want to share regarding activity within our profile. So since our subscription started the first of the year, our profile activity, so that would be our public profile view, we've had 37 individual visitors that have accounted for 966 views. Our facility overview, we've had 15 individual visitors. They've accounted for 181 views. Our Corn Palace is the most visited out of those 15 individual visitors. They've had 8 of them, and then that's accounted for 28 views. The event performance is a interesting feature. So this puts together how many individual visitors as well as views we've had for currently our 22 event microsites. So this is just within the 30 days. But since January 1st, we've had, like I said, 22 event microsites, events that have been awarded Sports and Events Authority funding. We've had 243 individual visitors that have researched, searched through Google, We've also had, obviously, articles in the paper. There's been information on the city's Facebook page. But 243 individual visitors have reached out to one of our event microsites, and that's accounted for 937 total views. We've had 18 people that have clicked on the registration link within the event. And then we've also had 21 ticketing clicks. So to my knowledge, the only event that Sports and Events Authority has awarded funding for ticketing would be our upcoming North Dakota Country Fest Your Town Tour. So there's been 21 individuals that have clicked on this link here. And then it takes them to the e-tix portion of the Corn Palace. Unfortunately, we're not able to see if they successfully purchased a ticket for the event. The individual visitors, there is a feature within Play Easy where if I would go in and click on a specific facility, a specific organization, a specific restaurant, it would have to be from, so if I would click in, let's say, Bradley's from my office computer multiple times, I would just be considered one unique visitor or one individual visitor. You can't click in it numerous times and skew all the numbers. Last of all, just touch on the leads portion of this. So again, 246 total RFPs that are available to destinations within this platform. 160 of those, some sort of criteria matched with the Sports and Events Authority. So it flagged us, it brought this into our profile. 156 of those we have passed on. Again, RFPs requesting more hotel room nights than we can provide. Facility space criteria does not match facilities in Mitchell or other dates that they want for their event. They overlap with things going on in Mitchell. Lost is I guess a hard word, but we were not chosen for the Move United Education Conference. I did receive email confirmation after the Sports and Events Authority meeting, just thanking us for the time to submit the application. They just considered and selected a different host site for their conference in 26 and 27. In the email, they did say to continue, again, to follow Move United. Feel free when more event RFPs come from our organization to submit a bid for that if it suits our criteria.
Did they say why we were not chosen?
Did not.
They did not, okay.
No. I guess I'm not a big assumption or hypothetical, but I would assume a big priority in their RFP was having a local organization.
Oh, yeah.
Us not having an adaptive sports organization, even within the state of South Dakota, was probably
Makes sense.
kind of aided in their decision, would be my guess. Currently, we have 3 interested. This would be an American Junior Golf Association Junior Championship. Eric at Lakeview has been shared with this information. Obviously, we'll continue to follow the progress at Wild Oak, but this is definitely an event that would bring, it wouldn't be during those priority months, but this would definitely be an event that would bring youth to our community. And then the last one is, we're still in talks with this 5v5 soccer to be able to utilize our fields on the north side of town. Scott Mullenmeister and the Mitchell Soccer Association Board does have this information. We have basically, I think, until next Monday to give them some sort of decision if the Soccer Association would like to put their hands on board and assist with this. That is one specific request from this 5v5 soccer, is having a local association to assist with
some of the criteria to host a tournament for them. And I did share with most of you just the QR code card that is automatically populated within this website, this platform. So you scan your code, QR code on your card, that takes you specifically to your microsite that was created. Now, if there is interest, there is the option and opportunity to include the owner or manager of a lodging establishment, a restaurant, a shop, if they would want access to their event microsite, for example. On the back end, if Jason or Jen would want access to their microsite, they would have access to go in and create specific event promotions at their establishment. Whether that's a price off, a discount, final price, they'd be able to edit the promotion dates and then share an external link potentially from their website that would take the customer directly to their page. They'd also have access to just create what's called general promotion campaigns that aren't specific to any of the events that come in. It would just be an additional marketing tool for them to be able to drive business. And then same would be for the hotel. They would have access to information about the description. If they had any website or social media links, they'd be able to include photos as well to their site. So as far as Play Easy, that's what I have. Again, going forward, Sports and Events Authority-wise, bid for board, there'll be less of kind of the backside and strategic side, more or less. It'll just be how we're using this as another marketing tool, destination marketing tool to bring people to Mitchell, update you on the leads and kind of the successes, hopefully, of those as well.
One question, Aaron. Do you think being under 1,000 rooms is deterring a lot or just a few? And the only reason I'm asking that is if we add the other small hotels, do we happen to be over 1,000? We are. Dave's shaking his head, yes. So would it be our advantage to at least say we do have 1,000? Even though...
895 is all our lodging establishments.
Oh, that includes the small ones too?
The three on the north side?
Yeah. 826 removes.
I see, okay.
Because we used to have over 1,000, but I suppose since the Ramada went out of business, we lost 100.
I suppose, that was like 160, wasn't it? Almost.
125 or something.
Okay.
Yeah, so 895 is currently all of Mitchell, South Dakota for number of rooms. 35% is what it's broken out pretty evenly. 35% is the number of events or RFPs within this site that we are not able to get because of room nights. The other is about 35%, 34.6%. We don't have a facility or venue to accommodate their criteria for floor space, breakout rooms, things of that. Seating capacity, things of that.
So we're close, but we're just not quite there, are we? Real close.
Yep. You know, it's hard to say, you know, obviously we had that month, this past February, where we were basically full. But until we can have, I would guess, multiple weekends or
Sure.
days where we're.
Yeah, and I'm not promoting that, obviously, that's a business decision made by others, other than me. But another question is, within how far, number of miles with Parkston, Plankington, Huron, is there an ability to add, to at least add to our bottom line, to say, at least look at us because we're within driving distance of being able to have 1,000 hotel rooms. And I don't know if that's even something that we'd even be concerned about or not, but it seemed, you mentioned several times that 1,000 is kind of a cutoff.
Jeff, I'm just looking at that, and I'm wondering, those that require 1,000 rooms, do we also not have the facility? That's a lot of people, you know, for convention space or whatever. And when they want 1,000 rooms, they're talking about they want 1,000 rooms. So that means we have nothing else going on in town at that time.
You know, a little bit, there are, you know, 12%, so 19 of the RFPs, you know, the local organization not having, for example, a rugby, a lacrosse, quad ball, spike ball, you know, the broom ball that we discussed a couple months ago. And again, we get great events, we get quite a number of events. Obviously, yes, it'd be nice to get occasionally a higher profile one that fills our facility, justifies the bid for board approving, the subscription to this. Awesome to bring the Mitchell as well.
We've talked before, Jeff, many years, we've talked about floor space for things like pool tournaments, dart tournaments, things that would go on January, February, March. And that's a key. I don't know who, if Andy brought it up or somebody brought it up. Doesn't have to be fancy, but something that would host 40 pool tables or, something like that. Those are things I think we could get if we had the facility.
There's a weird noise in the speakers.
Sorry. Rattling on the
Yeah, did you hear it?
speakers.
It's like.
Temporary system's dying.
Yeah.
I guess.
Okay.
I think number 7, maybe just table to next meeting.
Yep.
We're right at 4 o'clock. Next meeting date, what do we feel is necessary?
We need our budget.
What do we need for budgeting?
Yeah, I think it's just because there's multiple mics open, so if you're not talking, if you want to turn your mic off, June would be a good time frame. And so we'll have that ready for budget.
Just works. I'll send an email, 3 or 4 dates and times for the month of June as we get into our busy season. Obviously, we need 5 board members to meet a quorum. So I'll just get that sent out here in the next, maybe by the end of the week, with some potential dates for June. More than likely, it'll be a 3 o'clock time frame. Maybe try to keep it on a Wednesday. And the big talking point will be just budget.
I think we can adjourn the meeting. Thanks, everyone.